What's going on, virtual pinball community? My name is Danny Colazzo, and I have a 27-inch virtual pinball cabinet that was made by Game Room Solutions. And I've had it completed for some time, but I've been working on the software and getting everything set up, and I've had my issues on and off with bugs and setup and programming and code and all that other jazz. And basically, at the end of the day, I got frustrated with using Pinball X. Now, for Pinball X is fairly easy to use once you get the hang of it, but I still had issues with tables loading and having missing back glasses and just a handful of things. And I'd get one thing to work and another thing would break, or another thing wouldn't work, and so forth and so on. And it just got really frustrating. I also really cater towards the Pinball FX series of tables. And I like them because I like all the visual effects, I like the sounds, I like the way it looks, and it's just a lot easier for me to use in my virtual pinball cabinet versus trying to set up visual pinball and video pinball tables and having all this stuff written out there. So I just kind of got away from that because I just got frustrated with just everything about it. Before I get into it, when you get Pinball FX2 or 3, which is right now it's at 3, if you want to play it online or on like an Xbox or PlayStation or an Android component or Steam or whatever, that's great. A lot of people use it for that. They just have some fun with it. I wanted the cabinet mode, so I reached out to them and showed them that I actually had a cabinet built, and I've done everything I wanted to do in regards to using Pinball FX3 as a personal use machine and not a like a bar use or a restaurant or something for public use. So once I got that all set up, they sent me the code and I was able to convert it into cabinet mode, and it's great. The main thing when using this machine in cabinet mode, specifically for FX3, is you have to get this program, and it's called JoyToKey. And JoyToKey is awesome. It's free shareware, or you can pay $7 and you can get the full use license, which is what I did because I just donated to the people that made the program. And what JoyToKey does is it maps out your keyboard to the joystick buttons, because right now the buttons are hooked into a USB encoder, and then those are transmitted into the those are converted into like the gamepad setup that's on Windows. So when you have JoyToKey is able to map out the various buttons. In my particular case, I have like 12 buttons that are hooked up to the USB encoder, and what I did was I just took and mapped those buttons to be like the left shift for the left flipper, right shift for the right flipper, escape button, enter button, plunger, so forth and so on. And that's what I use to control FX3 in cabinet mode. So once I minimize JoyToKey, and there's one little caveat: when you're using JoyToKey to control Pinball FX3, you have to keep it on and just minimize it. Don't shut the program down, or else it doesn't work. So I'll go in FX3, and I'll just click on it right here on my desktop. And what I did was I added just a Pinball FX3 logo for the back glass when the program initially starts up. Now, when I was mentioning JoyToKey, what I also did was I took the buttons and mapped them to simulate the keyboard. So my plunger is also my enter button. So when I push my plunger button, I get my enter button. I was playing Star Wars earlier, and I have two buttons on the side of each side for the flipper, so like a top flipper and a bottom flipper, if you want to call it. What I did was I mapped out this as the right shift and the other one as the left shift, and then I use these as the left and right arrows so I can move back and forth on the menu. So again, I don't have to use a keyboard or a mouse or a joystick. And then again, I just use the plunger as my enter button, click on no thanks, and now I'm in the main menu. Once I'm in the main menu, you can see that up here I have the cabinet mode icon, which works out perfectly because my Pinball FX3 logo is the back glass, and which is also where the dot matrix display is going to be. And then I have my larger monitor as my playfield, and it's also my primary monitor. So again, instead of using a joystick, I can use the buttons like I mapped to go left or right. And then I even mapped 2 of the buttons here in the front to go up or down. So now I'll use the plunger to press enter. And then there's the collection. And I have every single table that's currently in the FX3 database, or catalog, whatever you want to call it. And again, I can go up, and then if I want to, say, use the Star Wars ones, I can start at the top of them, and then I can use my plunger buttons to go left or right and choose the tables. And now some of the tables, or actually all the tables, when you do it in this way, don't have the back glasses included, and they tell you that on the FX3 website, which is fine. So what I did was I just Googled every single image for every single table, and it was really easy. I just, like, for example, this one is the Star Wars Force Awakens table, right? So I just Googled Star Wars The Force Awakens HD wallpaper. And obviously it came up with, 1,000 different images of HD wallpaper. I just chose one that I thought was appropriate and renamed it the same as the table that was in the tables folder of the Steam folder. And what you can't see right here, this black outline, this is actually my dot matrix display, and I made it a little bit smaller. You can make it as big or small as you want, but I felt that was the right size for it. And then once I choose the table, I just click my plunger again.
Star Wars Pinball, The Force Awakens.
As my enter button, I'll go to play now. And I'm always going to play usually just the classic single player. I don't do all the upgrades and the hot seat and all the other jazz. I just want to play pinball. So I'll just click again, enter. And there you have it. And it starts up normally. It's great. And then I have the back glass, and then there's the dot matrix display that's sitting right there, and it's the perfect size because this is only a 27-inch playing table, but it's good for my game room, for my other smaller arcade machines that I have here. And then I just hit the plunger for enter, start the game. And the great thing about it is also I mapped out a button to where it changes my view mode. For everybody that knows, there's like 8 different views or something in Pinball FX. So when I'm doing this, I'm clicking the view button. It changes my view on the dot matrix display, and also obviously on the main playfield. I like the view 2s or 3s where I can kind of see the whole table. And then I'll just hit my plunger and shoot a ball. And then I'm holding the camera in one and trying to play with the other, so obviously I'm not going to get the left plunger, but you get the idea. And then you need a way to back out of it if you have any issues or you want to quit the game. So what I did was I mapped another button in the front as my escape button, which takes me to the pause screen, and then I use my other buttons to go down, click exit, click exit again, click escape again to go back to my menu, and that's it. So I have everything that I wanted as far as Pinball FX3, and it's been simplified, 100%, because a lot of people try to use, Pinball X, and I've seen a ton of videos where Pinball X works great and everybody has no issues at all. But then there's people who have, a ton of issues, or there's a ton of posts on Facebook where they just can't get their stuff to work. And I was unfortunately one of those people to have issues to where I have a high-end Alienware computer in here, and regardless of what I was doing, there was still having programming issues, or folders weren't showing up, or tables weren't showing up, so forth and so on. And it was just extremely frustrating because I spent, quite a bit of money on the cabinet itself, and then having the monitors in there, and the speakers, and the legs, and everything else to go along with it to get it. So I felt like I wasn't getting my money's worth, and now I was able to do this with Pinball FX3, and it works out great. So I just wanted to show everybody here in the community that if you're interested in just doing Steam Pinball FX as your way for your virtual pinball table, but you don't want to do, MAME or Future Pinball or Video Pinball or the other ones that are out there, this is absolutely the way to go, and it's well worth the investment and the time to do it, because once you get the hang of it and you get this thing all built, it only takes literally like an hour to get everything set up, and then probably about another hour to search all the backglass images, and I can even email everybody a folder or a zip folder with all the images that I Googled, and you can just put them in your folder if that's the way you want to set things up. But overall, I'm completely happy with it now, 100%. You know, not too long ago, I was kind of sitting here just kind of worried that this thing was just going to collect dust and not get the best use that I intended it to have out of it. But now it's actually working the way I need it to work, and I'm happy for it. But thanks for watching my video, and I hope this helps you guys in the community. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Thanks.